Hi everyone, it's Lauren. I am the New Hampshire Stitcher here on Flosstube and also on Instagram. This is a channel about cross stitch, so if you are returning, thank you for coming back. If you are here for the first time, that is largely what you're going to hear about today, maybe a little bit of other crafting at the end of the video, but I am back with my August wrap up. It is now Monday, September 4th, it's Labor Day. Hopefully if you are having a long weekend, you're having a relaxing holiday weekend. If you're in the States, if you are not in the States, hopefully you're having a good start to your week. But this is my Flosstube, I believe number 10, and my Stitchy bug is back. So if you watched my last video about a month ago, I mentioned that I was not stitching very much, and that continued throughout a good chunk of August up until maybe like a week to 2 weeks ago-ish. And as I thought it might happen, as fall previews started being released and the weather started to cool down a little bit and all those sorts of things happened, I started to want to stitch again. Also, work got a little bit less busy, so I think that was a contributing factor, because personally for me, when I have longer work days, I just don't have the mental energy at the end of the day to stitch, especially when, you know, it's darker and I'm stitching on a higher count, or some of my projects are 46 count and my brain just, I can't do it. So I hang out on the couch with my husband or read. Haven't even been reading much lately, honestly. All right, let's get into the stitching. So I do have something exciting to start with, which is that I have two framed pieces framed at Michael's near me. And after I show you my framed pieces, I have two finishes, so non-framed, non-finished finishes, and 5 whips, a start, a little bit of happy mail, some purchases, all the usual stuff. This may be a slightly shorter video today just because I haven't stitched as much, but I say that every time, never actually happens. So let's get into it. The first framed finish I got back is My Early Days by Plum Samplers. I'm gonna try to angle this so that the light is not impacted. But as I said, I got this framed at my local Michael's. However, the frame itself, I had originally bought an as-is frame from Michael's for like $8, and it would have worked, but it was a little bit darker than what I wanted to go with, just based on the colors in the piece. So I went for this more, let's see if you can see it, more natural wood looking frame. I think it's lightly stained, like a kind of like a barnwood color. But yes, this is my finish of My Early Days. And as a reminder for anyone who hasn't seen previous videos, this was stitched on 40 count pampas grass by Color and Cotton. I've had a couple people over the past months ask me about where to find pampas grass. Unfortunately, it was part of their Fabric of the Month club, so I don't believe you can purchase it at this point. However, the general feeling of it is that it is a very tan with a hint of green. It's not mottled, it just has like a green undertone to it. And I used pretty much all the called for threads here, with the exception of I changed out both deer to be, I honestly can't remember, but if you decide to stitch this, let me know and I can check to see what my deer were. I believe they're called for in Weeks Dye Works bark, and I did not use that. I wanted them to be a little bit darker, but I love this. It's already hanging on my wall, so I did take it off the wall to show you today, and it's really nice to be able to see it up. Okay, that's the first one. The second and final one, is I think even more exciting, and it is Huckleberry Farm by the Blue Flower. So this is a frame that I purchased in the as-is section of Michael's. It was $8. Again, that's pretty much what all of their as-is frames are, unless they're very large. But I laid this piece down in it probably almost a year ago and knew that it was the perfect fit. I just never got around to mounting it and like pinning and lacing it myself, so I figured let's just have Michael's do it. I'm bringing in My Early Days anyway, and I love how this turned out. I think it's the perfect size for this piece, and I'm so pleased with it. Again, this is already on my wall. This is stitched on the called for, which is Picture This plus Shale. I can't remember if the called for was 40 or 36, but this is 36. And I used all of the called for threads from the chart. I stitched this majority in 2021. I believe I finished it in early 2022. So finally now in September 2023, it's on my wall. And what I'll say about these is I think what I've decided is that I would like to get more things framed. While I would like to do it myself because it's more economical, I just don't do it. I'd rather spend that time stitching. So I'm going to start taking things into the framers more. And what I would like to do is, as I finish, I want to get things framed that are both older finishes and newer finishes. So as I finish newer things, I think the plan is going to be every time I bring in a newer finish to be framed, I'm also going to pair it with an older finish. So for example, I'm hoping to go in to get one of my recent finishes framed soon, and I'll show you that in a moment. And when I bring that in, I'm going to bring, I think, My Home in the Garden by Hello from Liz Matthews. So hopefully I'll do that this fall, and you'll see that in, probably not my next video, but in one of my upcoming videos. Those are my 2 framed finishes, and I did have 2 regular finishes this month. So let me get a little bit of a board here. Everything is very precarious today. All right, so first regular finish, it's very small but very exciting, is Summer Refreshes. It's about time, right? So if you have been a viewer for a little while, you'll know that this was my, what is Stephanie Webb, Lindy Stitches, she's calling it your Eat Your Vegetables whip or something to that effect, which is essentially what this has been for me, that I said I just have to do it. Have to put more threads in it once a week. I knew every day wasn't gonna happen. And eventually I sat down, accompanied by some coffee, and I think I was watching Mrs. Smith Stitches that day, Alana, and maybe Camping Stitcher. I'm forgetting exactly who I was watching, but I woke up at 3:45 in the morning one day, couldn't fall back asleep, and cranked this out. So apparently all I needed was insomnia to get this one finished. But it's done, and it looks really cute now that it's done, so that's exciting. I highly, highly doubt I will have this finished into anything before next spring, but who knows? Who knows with me? So that's my first finish. Oh, I should give you details. It's not my first Flosstube somehow, but I still act like it is. So this is Summer Refreshes by Summer House Stitchworks, stitched on 36 count colonial parchment by Fabrics by Stephanie with the called for DMC. There's just 3 colors. So very cute. I think I've said this before, I finished the spring one. I have not purchased the charts for autumn or winter. I may, but I'm having a little bit of a aversion to this series right now just because that one took me so long. No, like, nothing against Summer House Stitchworks or the chart itself. It just, for whatever reason, I couldn't get myself to do it. All right, my other finish just came off the Q-Snap, I think Friday I finished it. I don't remember exactly. And it is, let me slide it over, Birds of a Feather by Blackbird Designs. There's my finish. This I stitched on 40 count haystack. That's also by Color and Cotton, also a fabric of the month. I'm not sure if this one is available. It might be. It seems like some of her fabric of the month fabrics end up on the site. Some don't. I'm not really sure if it's based on how easy or difficult it is to replicate the dye, but this is my finish. And I stitched this, as I said, on the 40 count haystack, but I used Vicki Clayton silks. So she has many, many color packs, floss packs on her site. already converted for different designers and charts, and I grabbed the ones for this chart. I love them. I think I might have said it in the past, or I'm sure I've said it in the past, but her silks are very soft, very shiny, which I love, and they're pretty affordable. So they're definitely cheaper than an MPI, certainly cheaper than a Gloriana, and they're pretty comparable to an overdyed, maybe just a few cents more per skein. But I did make some, let's call them customizations to this piece. So I'll tell you what those were. The first thing is, you may be noticing, if you're familiar with this chart, there's no alphabet. I did not do the alphabet for this one. I felt like I was fine leaving it off, and I like how it keeps the focus on the pot in the center, the birds and the lollipop flowers, so that's not there. I do have my initials at the bottom, LS, and so that was something I did do. I also changed one of the small birds. So in the chart, both of the small birds on the top branches are red. I really, really loved the blues in the HDF silk conversion, so I wanted to have a little blue bird. I'm realizing that the lighting is better about this distance. And what else did I change? I think that might be, oh, the lollipop flower. So the middle lollipop flower calls for 3 rows of chain stitch around the flower. I did consider it. However, I decided to be a little bit lazy, if I'm being honest. And I did 3 rows of cross stitch in the colors that were called for chain stitch. I just did regular X's. All right, I think I just had to cut out probably like a full minute of noise, which there was a helicopter that flew over, and then multiple motorcycles went by. It's just nonstop on my road. It's a pretty nice day, and it's a holiday weekend, so 'tis what it is. But that is my finish on Birds of a Feather. And if you want to see a more close-up photo of like the lollipop flowers or any of the changes I made, it is posted on my Instagram, which is also New Hampshire Stitcher. All right, those are my finishes, and I do have a bunch of whips. So the first one is Garden Sampler, and this is by Carriage House Samplings. What I have done on this, I think I've done quite a bit on this one, and I don't think I need my board because it's double folded here. Maybe we want it anyway. So what I did here, apologies for the wrinkles, is I've been making my way up the right side. So we have, I think, pretty much everything in the bottom section. Sorry for all the maneuvering. Everything on the bottom right is new. So N for nest, O is orchids, P is pepper, Q is queen bee, getting a little fast and loose with the letters representing the names. S is sun. I'll go back to R for rain, and I think that's a raven. And then T for tulip. This is being stitched on 40 count Ocean Air by Fox and Rabbit, and I am using a Roxy floss conversion that Hannah from Evertote put together for me. So this one really doesn't have a huge amount left, just that top corner, top quadrant, which starts next with U. I think that's like an umbrella. It's really cute, and I can't wait to get to the top. I've been waiting to stitch this Z for, I'm assuming, zinnia, and the X for the XL pumpkin. So I'm not sure when I'll get back to this. I would like to finish it, but as I get more into fall stitching, we'll see. We'll see. I feel like this could be one that just comes back out randomly for a rotation and could potentially be a finish, but I'm not sure when. The next whip that I have is considered a Lilies. I honestly considered not even showing this today because I did so very little on it, and I had posted on Instagram probably 2, maybe 3 weeks ago, thinking that I was thinking about just finishing it out. I put it on the Q-snap, and what was left what was left to stitch fit into the one Q-snap. So I felt like, oh, maybe I could push through, you know, it would take a week or a little bit more than a week probably, maybe 7 to 10 days. And I wasn't feeling it. I was not feeling it. And it sat on a Q-snap loosened for probably 2 weeks. And I just didn't want to do it. And I have loved this project so much that it would feel like a shame to force myself to work on it through to the end and have the finish not be an enjoyable time for me. So that is why I didn't keep going on it. Let me try to see if I can show you. All I did in the past month is this little section. So I did that plant at the top, the start of a bird, and a tiny little bud, which feels very insubstantial, but as I said, when I finish this, I want it to be really exciting because this will by far be the biggest thing that I have finished since I started cross stitching. Also, this has been like a pretty long journey for me. I started it in February or March 2021 on 28 count. I stitched, I think, at least 4 pages, probably most of the top section or the top row. UFO'd it because I didn't want to stitch on 28 count anymore, and it was using a huge amount of floss. Restarted it on the 40 count and have been stitching it on and off ever since. So kind of at the same situation as we were, where I have this bottom. This happens every video. I'm sorry. We have this bottom section left to stitch, and we'll get there when we get there. I think a few people are actually starting this for the back to school sale that I started on Friday, and Cam the stitcher is stitching it on a dark linen, and she's also making some customizations to the colors, and I'm really excited to see what it looks like on the dark linen. I feel like that's going to be really cool, and mine is definitely like the traditional light linen, all the called for verse, everything. So I'm excited to see her take on it. All right, that's Consider the Lilies. I feel like I talked for 3+ minutes and showed you 27 stitches, but whatever. Next one is Marianne Kopp, 1839 by With Thy Needle and Thread, Brenda Gervais. Again, this was one that I worked on while I didn't really have much of a stitchy bug, so I didn't get a lot done, but I got some done. And this one is being stitched on 40 count Overcast by Cedar River Linen, and apparently I have a hanging thread, but here's where I got to. So what I did, since you've seen this last, is this vase, and I started to stitch a little deer, and I think that's when I set it down for the night and never picked it back up. But the urn looks small because this is 46 count, but I think that's at least that's probably 2 days of stitching. That's the thing that I've started to notice with 46 count, which you'll also see in my back to school start, is that I feel like I've done a lot of work on it, on this too, but it looks very insubstantial because it's so small, and it's going to look amazing when it's finished. And I do think that I'll get back to this one in September because it is sampler September, and I want to get some stitches in on my samplers. So as I said, this is on 46 count Overcast by Cedar River Linen, and I'm using all of the called for overdyed. Get my notes back up. Is there anything else I want to say about this one? I don't think so. I haven't seen too many people stitching this one yet, but if you are stitching this one and you would like to share your progress with me, please tag me on Instagram or, you know, put me in a comment, because I'd love to see what other people are doing on this one. As I said before, I know Virginia Stitcher is working on this. She's further along than I am. She's already started building out the walkway and maybe even some of the brick. I can't totally remember, but hers also looks really good because she started from a different section. So it's fun to see I'm coming from the top and she's working up from the bottom. Next up is my Christmas in July start, which I had no real aspirations to get back to this in August, but I finished Birds of a Feather last Wednesday, and I was starting my back to school start on Friday. So I had a 1-day gap where I needed to stitch something or I wanted to stitch something for 1 day only and get a little bit of progress, and felt like the perfect opportunity to work on Deck the Coop Pin Keep by Stacy Nash Primitives. These are definitely deceivingly large. I think I've watched a couple, maybe not whip parades, but regular floss tubes recently where people are stitching like Butternut Tavern. Katie from So Tattered is doing one of those, I believe. I'm forgetting who else I was watching recently that is doing one or the other. Maybe Olivia Pumpkin Hollow Quilts. But either way, these pin keeps, they big. So this is Deck the Coop, and I'm stitching this on 40 count winter woolens, which is what I used for Midnight Watch. So this is my leftovers, and I'm using all the called for. And this is where I got to. Essentially, I had the border previously, but I put the leaves on all of the buds along the top, and then I did that chicken. And this is really fun. So the nice thing about this is that it's not tiny, but it has pretty like distinct motifs. So I did the chicken on the left, and then maybe next time I'll do the bottom fill in on the border. I could do the coop one time, etc. If in a perfect world where I did the plans that I say that I'm going to do, I would work on this like once a month and have it done around Christmas time. I actually have a frame in mind. It's in my closet that I bought for something else that doesn't fit, but it would fit this. We'll see. But yep, I love this little chicken. I hope you could see it, but just so cute. It's stitched with charcoal, Weeks Dye Works charcoal, Weeks Dye Works Goritz, and Schneckly. I forget what the rough is, maybe Red Rocks. And that is what I did in my day, was the leaves at the top and the chicken. It looks, again, like not that much, but the leaves alone are like 18 stitches per bud, and there's 10 buds, so a couple hundred stitches just at the top, and then I did the chicken. So it feels like good progress to make in between big projects. All right, my last whip is, get this out of the way, Summer Quaker by Leelas Studio, and she is doing an Autumn Quaker, which I'm very excited about. It's not released yet. I'm really hoping, I think she was stitching the model, so I'm hoping that means it's going to be, I'm assuming that means it's going to be this autumn. But even if it's later in the autumn, I'm going to kit it and start it immediately anyway, because I'm imagining she'll probably do DMC again. If she's been using DMC for the past couple, that's relatively easy. And I'm trying to go through my fabric stash in my drawer before I keep buying new fabric, which is, you win some, you lose some, but I love this. I keep coming back to it because it's so much fun. I honestly can't remember where this was at in the last video, so let me think about it. I want to say I had the left side and the top in the last video. I don't think it was just the left side. Maybe I'll put a photo here if I remember / can find a decent screenshot from that video. But this is where I am. So I've done the full left border, the full top border with the exception of the words, and then I've started coming down on the right side and started coming across on the bottom. You may recall in the last video that I said something about not stitching all 4 border sections before I started the middle, and me saying that in a video is essentially the kiss of death, and I don't do what I say I'm going to do. So I have not started the middle, and maybe I will, maybe I won't. Honestly, I have a feeling I'm gonna do the whole border because I'm having such a good time, and then do the middle fill-in as and when I feel like it. This is being stitched on a 40 count color and cotton fabric that I'm forgetting the name of. I'll put it across the screen below me because I do not recall. It's not Sandcastle. I'll put it on the screen. And I'm using all the called for DMC. And the reason I haven't stitched the words across the top is because I might not use the words that are in the chart. There are a couple other rechartings that I'm thinking of doing. Haven't gotten that far yet. Probably won't do that until closer to the end because I may use the charted verse, but I haven't firmly decided yet, so I'd rather just leave it empty until the end. So one more look. Summer Quaker by Leelas Studio. This is likely to go away for a little while because it's not summer anymore. Well, kind of still feels like summer. It's in the 80s today, but it will be dropping, I think, next week. And I'm very sorry to say this to people who are in the South right now, but over the past week, we've been waking up in the morning and it's been like 52, 55, and then during the day it's been low 70s. So we're kind of going through a little bit of a hot week right now in the mid 80s, which sounds really bad because I know Texas is like 110 degrees, but that's why I live in New Hampshire and I have to deal with snow all winter. So that's all my whips. I have one start and it is my back to school start. It is the Three Things Sampler by Moira Blackburn. And I started this on Friday, September 1st, along with, I think, many of you, which is really exciting. It seems like people have really taken to the idea of this stitch along, and my thinking is that it's probably because there really are not that many limitations other than doing something that feels big to you. And I have loved seeing what people are choosing for the stitch along. Unfortunately, my wish list is getting really long and there were already a lot of big projects that were on my wish list, but you know, I have a bunch more years to stitch, so I'll get to some of them. This is one of those charts that doesn't look like much, and then when you start to stitch it, it is glorious. So let me show you. This is my start on the Three Things Sampler by Moira Blackburn, and this is on 46 count Albarium by Cedar River Linen. As you can see, I'm still working on it, still on my Q-snap, and I'm using the Vicki Clayton Silk conversion, HDF Silks. I do think that the HDF Silk conversion is brighter than the called for DMC from what I can tell. I love it. I think the colors are beautiful. Again, her silks are very shiny and very soft, but also easy to stitch with. So this is about 2 days of work on my BAP. I started it on Friday. I didn't really have any time to stitch yesterday or Saturday. I was at a barbecue and some other things. And then yesterday I spent multiple hours stitching in the afternoon, and I hope to get back to it today, maybe this afternoon. I have a few things to do, like my husband and I are going to go out to lunch, we'll do some yard work, the usual long weekend things, but I really look forward to getting back to this. And I think my current plan is to finish this first page here, which is essentially the first 2 chunks of alphabet, the border below it, and then the border around it. That would be page 1 of, I think there's 12, and then I'll put it away. I'm not going to try to say that I'm going to do a page every month because that's probably not the case, but I do believe that the way I'm going to tackle this is that I'm going to work my way all the way down the left side and then come over and up and down. Like I might do a little bit of a swirl because I would like to do the verse closer to the end. I love stitching words, and I know that if I stitch the verse early on, I may lose momentum. So I feel like the house as a midpoint and the verse at the end are good like motivators to keep me going through this chart. So those are my whips and my start. And plans, I think it's Marjorie made maybe that calls them hopes and dreams instead of plans. And I think that's more accurate because I never follow my plans. It's more like things that are percolating. So things that are percolating. I would like to finish that page on the 3 Things Sampler. It is Sampler September. I would love to get more done on Consider the Lilies. I would love to get back to Marianne Kopp, maybe At Home Sampler by Brenda Gervais. But then there's also fall things I would like to start. So maybe I'll just get into Happy Mail and purchases because purchases kind of relate to where I might be going next. So I did get one piece of Happy Mail, and it is a project bag. So cute. This is from The Missing Needle, and I wanted to show, there's this cute handmade charm on it. So this is from Stacy at The Missing Needle. She very generously offered to share a bag with me just because, and I really love it. I think this will be perfect for maybe like one of my spring or summer patterns that I have going. So I don't currently have a bag for Seasons of the Heart Summer by the Blue Flower. It's just sort of in like a plastic bag, and I think this would be good for that. But she very kindly shared this with me, and she also sent me another little box of goodies and a note, which I won't show here or read. That's more personal, but I really appreciate her thinking of me, and I can't wait to put this bag into use. Okay, purchases. I didn't go crazy this month. I just bought a few charts, which seems reasonable, and I will show you them. So I placed an order with Leelas Stitches, and she has her own charts, but her shop, if you weren't aware of this, her online shop has all of her charts, many or most of her PDFs, her charts as PDFs, and then also a lot of other designers that she handpicks, I think based on what their aesthetic and kind of the general vibe that she's going for with her site. So one of the designers that she carries is the Blue Flower. So I got Magpie and the Moon. I believe this came out last year, but I've seen a few people stitch it or share it in videos over the past year, and I really like it. And it's only 90 by 90, which definitely feels like a doable fall small. And there's 4, 5, 10 colors, half of which are DMC. So this may be something I get to this fall, if not like a future fall. I love that. The next chart that I got, let me try to keep things with their bags. The next chart that I got is actually a Leelas Stitches chart, and it is Autumn Strolls. Autumn Strolls make thankful souls. I think this is so cute. I've been eyeing it for a while. It's not new. I think it's a couple years old, but I've had it in my 1, 2, 3 stitch wish list for a while. And when I wanted to buy the chart I'm about to show you, I ended up adding it to my cart because why not buy it from the designer directly? I think I might start this on Thanksgiving. I have a piece of 40 count Jack Frost from Seraphim, which is this like very similar to this, like a light teal aqua color. And I think that would be a really fun Thanksgiving start. The last chart I got from Leelas Stitches is an artsy housewife chart. So I have seen a lot of artsy housewife posts, charts, stashing happening recently, and when I saw this coffee and eggs, I died. Well, here I am, but you know what I mean. I love this, and she's so proud of her eggs. The chicken is standing on like a coffee carafe with a plant, the rainbow on the branch. I love this so much. If it were not September 4th, I probably would have started this the day that I got it, but it does call for quite a bit of classic colorworks and then gentle arts, pretty much all colors that I don't have. And I told myself that I need to start using colors that I already have. So I have a lot of overdyed between the 3 sort of big dyers and then also Color and Cotton. I have some Roxy Flosco, I have a lot. So I'm gonna try to kit this up with stash colors, and then I will probably impulsively start this at some point this fall. So those are the 3 charts I got from Leelas Stitches. The last chart I got is also by the Artsy Housewife, but I got it on her Etsy shop because it's a PDF only pattern. I'm gonna put it right here. This is called Dark Golden Delicious. So Golden Delicious is a pattern she released recently that is available in shops and maybe as a PDF also, but it is on a lighter fabric. She took the design, put it on a darker fabric, but also changed the called for colors for the flosses and released it as a PDF only in her Etsy shop. Again, I loved this as soon as I saw it. I believe I'm going to repurpose the 40 count Seraphim flagstone that I used for Moonlight Sampler, which I UFO'd, and put Dark Golden Delicious on that. And that is probably something that will be an imminent start in the next few weeks to a month, because it is heftier than you would expect. Like, from looking at it, I don't know if it's still up here or not, it doesn't look like it would be that big, but it is 200 wide approximately by approximately 100 tall. And that border section with the stars is dense. So I doubt that I'll finish it this fall, but it is something that I would like to start. All right, those are my purchases. And in addition to my purchases, I did just want to touch on a couple of fall releases that I have not purchased, but that I like and that I may purchase. So the first one probably won't be a surprise if you've been watching Flosstube recently. It's Pumpkin House by Hello from Liz Matthews. I feel like everyone is loving this one, myself included. It came out as an exclusive for the Kitten Stitcher Halloween box last year, and my only hold up slash slowdown has been picking fabrics, because given that there's two fabrics together, Liz really recommends choosing fabrics in the same count, and I also would like to get fabrics from the same dyer so that the threads or the linen is as likely, the weave is as likely to be similar as possible. So currently I'm thinking I may use, the called for top is Haunted, and I have a piece of 32 count Haunted, and I'm thinking I may use 32 count Bramble for the bottom. 32 count, she says? Yes, I know I never stitch on 32 because I like to use one thread. However, I think I might be able to get away with one thread because it's Picture This Plus, even though it's 32. So if I buy that and start it, I will report back on my experiment, and if it fails, I will buy something in a 36 or a 40 and start it later. There's no real rush there. The next one that I really liked is Pansy Patch Quilt's Betsys Halloween basket. I do think I will eventually collect all of the baskets. I have summer, I don't have spring, fall, or winter, and then this is separate from fall. This is Halloween. So I would like to get them all over the course of time. There's a lot of seasonal series that I either am in progress with or would like to start. So that's one of them. And my list. The last one that's already been released is Autumn Sampler by Crochet A Go-Go. I am unsure whether I'm saying that correctly, but let's pretend. And she did a winter sampler last year, which Chris from the Camping Stitcher finished. It's beautiful. The only reason I have not purchased and or started the winter sampler is because as I saw it, it was going into spring, summer. I had a hunch there might be a new one, and I was correct. However, it is enormo. So I don't know that I will buy or start this one immediately, but it is, as many things are, in the back of my mind. And then the last one is as yet unreleased. I don't have a photo. Leelas Studio is going to be doing the Autumn Quaker. So whenever that comes out, it will be on its way to me, get in my hot little hands, and I'll be starting it. And I don't know what it's going to look like at all, but I'm already envisioning that I want to stitch it on something like murky or like a darker, moodier fall color. Again, I have no idea what it's going to look like. The colors, for all I know, will not be conducive to murky, but that's what's in my brain. I have Flosstube itchy nose. I thought I almost made it through the whole video. I did not. All right, so last thing is just the giveaway. So on my last video, I announced the giveaway winners from the previous month. Three people got back to me, and I am very sorry. I have been a bad Flosstuber and I have not yet mailed your prizes. They are going in the mail this week. I finally have a little bit more time, and if only the postal service was open until 9 o'clock at night, I would be able to mail things in a timely fashion, but they're not, and work, yada yada. I will get them to you. I am sorry. 2 people have not gotten back to me. So let's see. Leelas Studio, I'm gonna put your name on the bottom. You had won My Home in the Garden, and I have not heard from you. And Rebecca Cattels, you had won the piece of Earthen by Picture This Plus. I have not heard from you either. If you have reached out to me and I have not replied to you, it's because I did not, have not seen your email, did not get it. So please reach out again. I want to make sure you get that. If I don't hear from either of you by the next video, I will choose someone else. And this video, I want to give away the Stitchy Notions by Lisa project bag. And this is the Teresa Kogut fabric. So the winner of this is Jamie Rowe or Rao, I'm not sure how you say it. I'm assuming Rowe, putting her comment here. So congratulations, Jamie. I hope that you see this video because I would love for you to send me an email, newhampshirestitcher@gmail.com, and let me know that it's you and what your address is. As a reminder for all of my giveaways, please be over 18 in the US or Canada. Those are the 2 places I'm able to ship right now, and all the normal things. But I look forward to hopefully hearing from the 2 previous winners as well as Jamie, and I do plan on having giveaways in the future. I just don't have one this month. All right, I think the last thing I have briefly is knitting, which again, I almost didn't show today because it's so insubstantial, but I'll show it anyway. As a reminder, I'm working on the half and half triangle wrap from Pearl Soho, and would love to have the finished product, but in order to have the finished product, one needs to knit. That has been a problem for me as of late. However, as it started to get a little bit colder, I have felt like knitting, and I've been laying in bed at night doing 2 to 4 rows a few times a week. So not a ton, but this is what I have for my half and half wrap. Not much, but some. You can tell I just started getting back to it. That's my progress marker. I've probably, this is the past week, I've done maybe 10 to 12 rows, not a ton. They're pretty long rows still. They're about 150 stitches, but they're short rows, so you go back the other direction as well when you're halfway through. So each row is about 300 stitches right now. So it does take a bit. And the way that this will work is that this is actually the top of a triangle, and I'll be working my way down to complete this half of the triangle, and then I'll switch to the other side. I'm not good at showing knitting, nor is this any kind of worthwhile amount of progress, but I want to put it out there, hoping that I continue working on it. Maybe next month you'll see a little bit more. And I may at some point get back to trying the pressed flowers shawl. Hannah from Microbiologist Makes is very far along with hers, if not done. Hannah, are you done? And I am motivated by that, by her progress, to restart that one with different yarn when I have it. I need to get a different, is it DK? It's a DK weight yarn, and get back to that because I feel like that'll be something a little bit more interesting to do in between this, which is just knitting forever. So that is where I'm at. I think that is everything I have for today. I'm not going to do reading, watching, listening this month because honestly, I haven't been reading, watching, or listening to much of anything. I'll maybe resume that segment next month, but hopefully you enjoyed the video today. And if you're a giveaway winner, please reach out to me, and I hope to hear from you all soon and see you in October. Bye.